Normalerweise wir sehen, wie viele Leute kann nicht Deutsch sprechen oder nicht Englisch sprechen und am meisten dann wir wählen die andere Sprache.
Okay. Wer spricht kein Englisch? Who doesn't speak German? Wer kann auf Englisch übersetzen? No, wer kann auf Deutsch übersetzen?
Ich kann auf Deutsch übersetzen, also vielleicht kannst du besser als ich, weil ich bin nicht so.
Und auf Englisch kann auch jemand übersetzen? Von Deutsch auf Englisch? Nee?
So?
Ja. Dann sprechen wir auf Englisch. Ist okay? Darf ich dir das Buch geben? Oder? Dankeschön. So we are speaking today from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 21st chapter, 12th chapter, sorry. Text 30. Tad ottana pada putro. Tad ottana pada putro. Tadarshantakam agatam. Tadarshantakam agatam. Mrityor murni padam dattva. Mrityor murni padam datta. Arunobadutam griham. Arurohat putam griham. Tad uttana pada putro. Tadarshantakam agatam. Mrityor murni padam dattva. Arurohat putam griham. Tad uttana pada putro. Tadarshantakam agatam. Mrityor murni padam tattva. Arurohat putam griham. Yes, please. Tadottana pada putro. Tadarshantakam agatam. Mrityor murni padam dattva. Arurorhat putam griham. Tadottana pada putro. Tadarshanta kamagatam. Mrityor murni padam dattva. Arurohat putam griham. Tadottana pada putro. tadarshanta kamagatam mrityormurni padam dattva arurohat putangriham tarottana padaputro tadarshanta kamagatam mrityormurni padam dattva arurohat putangriham tadottana padaputro tadarshanta kamagatam mrityormurni padam dattva arurohat putangriham. Thank you. Tada, then, Uttanapada of King Uttanapad, Putra, son, Dadarsha, could see, Antakam, death personified, Agatam, approached him, Mrityo Murni, on the head of death, Padam, feet, Tattva, placing, Aruroha, got up, Adputam, wonderful, Griham, on the airplane, which resembled a big house. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When Dhruva Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approach him. Not caring for death, however, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of death. And thus he got up on the airplane, which was as big as a house. Purport. To take the passing away of a devotee and the passing away of a non-devotee as one and the same is completely misleading. While ascending the transcendental airplane, Dhruva Maharaj suddenly saw death personified before him. But he was not afraid. Instead of death giving him trouble, Dhruva Maharaj took advantage of death's presence and put his feet on the head of death. People with a poor fund of knowledge do not know the difference between the death of a devotee and the death of a non-devotee. In this connection, an example can be given. A cat carries its kitten in its mouth, and it also catches a rat in its mouth. Superficially, the catching of the rat and the kitten appear to be one and the same, but actually they are not. When the cat catches the rat in its mouth, it means death for the rat. Whereas when the cat catches the kitten enjoys it. When Dhruva Maharaj boarded the airplane, he took advantage of the arrival of death personified, who came to offer him obeisances. Putting his feet on the head of death, he got up on the unique airplane, which is described here to be as big as a house, Griham. There are many other similar instances in Bhagavatam literature. It is stated that when Kardama Muni created an airplane to carry his wife Devahuti all over the universe, the airplane was like a big city, carrying many houses, lakes, and gardens. Modern scientists have manufactured big airplanes, but they are packed with passengers who experience all sorts of discomforts while riding in them. Material scientists are not even perfect in manufacturing a material airplane. In order to compare to the plane used by Kardama or the plane sent from Vaikuntha and from Vishnu Loka, they must manufacture an airplane equipped like a big city with all the comforts of life, lakes, gardens, parks, etc. Their plane must be able to fly in outer space and hover and visit all other planets. If they invent such a plane, they will not have to make different space stations for fuel to travel into outer space. Such a plane would have an unlimited supply of fuel, or, like the plane from Vishnu Loka, would fly without it. Hare Krishna. Mukam karoti vachalang pangong langayate girim yat kripa tang vande Shri Gurun dinataranam Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I read the verse again. When Dhruva Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approach him. Not caring for death, however, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of death. And thus he got up on the airplane, which was as big as a house. So reicht, glaube ich. Ist ziemlich laut eingestellt. Today morning, Ramananda Gopal Prabhu asked me to replace him because he has so much seva today. And I was looking on the board, and there was the 29th verse, and I was thinking this is the verse of today, but it was, I guess, day before yesterday's verse. So it will be quite spontaneous now, but with all of your merciful support, we try to speak something on this verse here. So what is the situation? Dhruva Maharaj spent 60,000 years in the material world and having all opulences. He was the king of the whole world, having many comfortable palaces with many wives and children, lots of riches and influence. And then after his so-called material existence, it was not really a material. He was a Mahabhagavata. He was fully self-realized, a pure devotee of the Lord. Then he left his body. This is what we heard day before yesterday. when it said, before getting abroad, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it, and also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. There were two servants of the Lord accompanying the airplane, Nanda and Sunanda. They came to pick up Dhruva Maharaj in a transcendental airplane. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. Means, in the meantime, Dhruva Maharaj's body transformed into a spiritual body. Yeah? He did not give up his material body, which then was cremated, but in Dhruva Maharaj's case, the body was transformed into a spiritual body. And in this body, he was able to enter the Vimana, the transcendental airplane. And in this purport, Prabhupada explains that Dhruva became of the same substance as the material, as the transcendental spiritual substance. If we are not equal in the substance, there is no allowance, no permission for us to enter. What is there which hinders us to enter the spiritual world? This is the ahankar. Yeah. If the ahankar is not fully gone, then there is no entry for us. Yeah. It falls down. Okay. Okay. So, as long as there is a trace of ahankar, we are not yet qualified to enter the spiritual world. And there is Lord Shiva as the guardian of the spiritual world. He is the doorkeeper, the Kshetrapal. Kshetra is the place, the holy place, and the Pal is the protector. So Lord Shiva is the protector of the holy Dham. And he is checking if there is still some ahankar there or not. Because before, at the moment when the soul is breathed out of the body of Mahavishnu and enters, is impregnated into the material realm through Shambhu, through the sight, through the vision of Mahavishnu, which is actually Shiva. Shambhu is a name of Shiva, means through Shiva, the Shiva, the spirit soul, the Atma, is impregnated into the material energy. And the first thing what the Shiva gets is the ahankar. Gets it through Shiva. Yeah? Shiva gives the covering. The soul is fully spirit by nature. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is eternal, Chit is full of knowledge, Ananda full of bliss. So, like if we go into deep water, if we dive into deep water, we need a certain covering, which enables us to act underwater, to stay underwater like this. But at the same time, when we come into the material world, to get in interaction with the material world, we need a certain coating, a certain covering. The soul, spirit by nature, cannot interact with matter. So this is the ahankar. This is the false ego which has been given by Lord Shiva, so that the soul can get in relation in Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. So that the soul can interact with matter. And Lord Shiva also is the one who checks that this ahankar is fully gone. Yeah. It is said actually there is two kinds of death existing. There is a big death and there is a small death. Yeah? What do you think is the big death? Sorry? The ego death, yes. And what then is the small death? A body, yes. We consider in the material world the small death as so important. Yeah? We go through it many, many times, millions of times already. We experienced the small death. And we are extremely afraid of it. Yeah? This is the one moment what we try to ignore, what we try to avoid. Modern science is working hard to find out means to transcend, so to say, death. Yeah? But not in a spiritual way, in a material way, to prolong life eternally, yeah? So that people don't have to die. But we know that is not possible. Yeah? But of course, that tendency or that desire to find out a way to have an eternal life is coming because the soul is there. The soul has eternal life. Yeah? So that feeling is already there. It must be eternal. Something eternal must be there because we are in nature eternal. We are by nature. Yeah? But materialists, they are searching on the wrong place. They are searching on the material platform for something what makes us eternal. But we know the material energy is tu kalayam ashashvatam. Is full of misery and temporary. Always. It cannot be eternal. Yeah? Of course, the energy, the material energy itself is eternal. It's always existing, falling into parts, building together in a new way, falling into parts. Destruction is there, again construction. This process is going on eternally. But life is coming from the soul, and this is of an eternal existence continuously. And this is what materialists are searching for in this life. There are yogis who have the ability to rejuvenate their bodies. And in this way also prolong their lives. This is one of the mystic cities. So that yearning is there in human beings to have an eternal existence because we are eternal by nature. But we need to look on a different platform. We are only concerned about small death. This is small death. It is nothing of significance. But what we really have to look for is the big death. Because the big death actually helps us to come where we want to go to, where we aim at, eternal life, full of bliss, full of knowledge. And last time, Saturday, we heard that the form of bliss, what is there, accessible for the soul, is ever increasing. It is never getting bored. Every day is new. Every day is, although the same Leelas are taking place every day at a certain time, still the pastimes are ever new, ever fresh, because there is no experience of time. It's always the presence. We don't think about the past. Oh, yesterday we had the same game. No, it's not there. Now we are playing a certain play, some water play games or some holy pastimes every day, or some chulan, some swing pastimes. Every day they are going on. They're always new, always fresh. So this big death, this is what we are actually aiming at. And this is what modern science is excluding. It's not taking into consideration that we have to look on a different plane. The big death is when our ahankar is...
Still following, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So the big death is when our ahankar is dissolved. Yeah? The ahankar, which makes us think, I am the controller and I am the doer. Two concepts which are very, very deep in our conditioned nature. Yeah? Very deep and very, very sudurlabha, difficult, duratyaya, very difficult to overcome. Yeah? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi hiesha gunamayi. My material energy is daivi, is of godly nature. Mama maya duratyaya. To overcome my material nature is duratya, is very, very difficult. Mamme vaye prapadyante, but if one surrenders unto me, mayam etam tarantite, then maya is very easy to overcome. Then we have the example, here Prabhupada gives an example in the purport about the cat and the kitten. Yeah. He gives it in a different connection, we will come to that also, but he gives the same example also in a different connection with the explanation of the bhakti path in comparison to other paths like Ashtanga yoga or Gyan yoga or Karma yoga or a materialistic path. It says that the bhakti yogi, he lets himself carried by the cat, like a kitten is carried by the mother. Yeah? This is we call it the Avaroha Panta. Avaroha Panta is the path which comes from up to down. It is like the rope, which is going into a dark well. A rope has been given from the spiritual world. We just catch that rope. This is what the kitten is doing. Yeah? It is safely in the mouth of the mother and carried around. It doesn't need to worry. And if we just catch to the rope, which is coming up, down into our existence in the material world, we are lifted up. And we know the Maha Mantra, Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana, directly coming from the spiritual world to the material world. We just have to catch on the holy name and it will carry us up to the spiritual world. On the opposite, the materialistic minded persons, the scientists or the Gyanis and yogis, they try the Aroha Panta. This is the upgoing path. They think by their own strengths, by their own intelligence, by their own ability, they can make themselves eternal, which doesn't work. There we have the comparison of a young monkey kid catching to the mother on the belly of the mother. Maybe sometimes you have seen, when you visit Vrindavan, you can see sometimes the mother is jumping from roof to roof, having a small baby, catching to her body. When the monkey mother is jumping too fast, sometimes the baby monkey cannot hold and it falls down. Yeah? It's a very unsafe circumstance. But the devotee, he doesn't need to worry. Yeah? He is carried in the mouth of the cat, like the kitten, safely. And then Prabhupada gives the example, the cat who carries the kitten, who feels safe, feels even blissful. Yeah? And the cat catching a rat. And the rat is fully fearful because the rat understands this is death for her. Yeah? But the kitten understands, no, this is bliss. This is how a devotee approaches death. A devotee is not afraid of death. When my father passed away, I came, two days after he passed away, I came back from India, and I did not know that he had passed away. I was not informed. Only when I came back, I was going to Golokadam, they told me, your father passed away, and he's in Switzerland, 7 hours train trip. So immediately I packed my stuff and I went there, and luckily in the hospital where he passed away, they still had him in a room, nicely prepared. And I was in front of that room and I was thinking, oh my God, what will happen now? I will enter and I will see my dead father. And I entered. My mother and my brother remained outside. And I entered that room, and immediately I felt I'm not alone in that room. Although there was the dead body of my father on a table, arranged nicely with candles. It was very nice atmosphere actually what they created. But I felt I'm not alone. There is the dead body of my father, but in one corner of the room, I felt the presence of the soul telling me, why are you sad? I'm fine. I left this sick body, and now I can go on. And immediately I had such a feeling of joy in my heart. I understood. Yes, we are not the body. We are only soul, spirit soul, sitting in the body, having a material experience. But we are spirit by nature. And I gave some tulsi leaves, some braj dust, some tulsi mala, some Ganges water, the forehead of the dead body. And I left, and I had to be very careful to not show this joy outside to my mother and my brother who were mourning about the death of the father. Then later on, I told that experience to my spiritual master, and he said, yes, remember this for your own death. Remember this moment. Because this is what we have to be aware of. We are eternal by nature. And death is just for us like the kitten is blissfully carried in the mouth of the mother. It is a moment where we can let go the material body and gross body and subtle body, which is just of a cage for the soul. Yeah? With these eyes, what can we see? We think with these eyes we see the world. But these eyes, yeah, they are just two material lumps of flesh. Sorry to say. And they are hindering us to see instead of giving us ability to see. Yeah? They reduce the power of perceiving on a bare minimum of these two holes. Bhagavad Gita speaks of a submarine. Yeah? It's like when you in a submarine, you have a periscope, it's called, what is coming out. Yeah, you have a very small hole where you can look around and see what's going on. This is what's happening with the soul in the body. It's sitting like in a submarine and looking out through two holes. We have two holes, not just one. But they are just little holes. We don't see what is in our back. We don't see when there is darkness. Huh? With the ears, we perceive just some frequencies. But so many more frequencies are there. Luckily, we don't perceive all of them. Otherwise, it would be constantly noisy around. But with our senses, which we get in contact with the world, which are our instruments to interact with the world, we think, wow, we have so much ability to acquire knowledge through our senses. But actually, it's a minimizing of our ability. Because the soul has so much more ability to perceive, to hear, to see, to taste. Yeah? So the moment of death for a devotee means the great fortune to be able to let go the gross body, and if we are lucky enough, also the subtle body. If the ahankar, as we discussed before, is dissolved. Yeah. Once Bhakti Charu Swami visited Goloka Dham, he gave a lecture and he said, by performing devotional service, our subtle body is reduced. So be careful. It's dangerous. No? What we are doing here, we are reducing our subtle body. Yes, we have to be aware of that fact. What happens if the subtle body is gone? This is the moment when the soul leaves the body. Khatam ho gaya. Finished. Our task is done. We go back home, back to Godhead. So we have to be aware. What we are doing here is dissolving our subtle bodies, dissolving our ahankar. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. By performing devotional service, two things happen. Sarvopadi, sarvo upadi, all designations are washed away. What can be designations, what we carry with us? You're Greek, okay. I'm Swiss. Yes. Yes?
Things like they are called limiting beliefs. Something I am weak or I'm very strong.
Yes.
I'm this and that.
Yes, yes, good. This is more subtle. Mm-hmm. Yes. A simple one, I'm female or I'm male. Yeah? Designation. Or I'm a son, I'm a daughter, I'm a father, I'm a mother. Or I'm a brahmachari, or I'm a sannyasi. Designations. If we stick to them, they are hindrances, they are obstacles for us to move on. The only designation which we should keep and follow is what we heard also on Saturday's class. Chivera Svaruphaya Krishnera Nityadas. The Svarup of the Jiva, the form of the soul, is it to be an eternal servant of the Lord. It's the only designation. All other things we can throw overboard. So this is the one thing what happens when we perform devotional service. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, all designations are washed away. until the only designation of Krishna Das and Krishna Dasi remains. Yeah? And our senses become purified. Our senses become purified because with our eyes we are taking the darshan of the Lord. With our ears we are hearing Krishna Katha. With our tongue we are tasting Krishna Prasad. With our nose we are smelling flowers which have been offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, the Mahatulsi leaves. With our feet we are going on holy pilgrimage. Yeah? With the hands we are touching Tulsi Maharani. So in this way we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, and then in this way they become purified. And when the subtle body is fully purified of the ahankar, of the misidentifications of I and mine, then our business here is done. So that means by engaging in devotional service, we slowly approach that moment when also Vimana is awaiting us to go back to the spiritual world. And if death is approaching, a devotee doesn't need to be afraid, because a devotee knows where to take shelter in. There is the holy name, Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. If we catch to the holy name, there is no other means in this world. This is the most merciful form of the Lord in Kali Yuga. He came in the form of the holy name. There is one verse, it's not coming. It says that the chanting of the holy name is the one process for this Kali Yuga. There is no other process for this Kali Yuga, and to please Lord Chaitanya, I'm performing this sacrifice of chanting the holy name. Nam Yagya, Mahayagya. The chanting of the holy name is the greatest sacrifice. A yagya is not just what we know with the fire. A yagya in general is devotional service. And the greatest form of the powerful form of a yagya of devotional service is to chant the holy name. Nam yagya, Mahayagya, Kalau Kalmasha Nashanang. In the age of Kali, this chanting of the holy name is eradicating all sufferings. Krishna Chaitanya Prityarte, in order to please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nam Yagya Samarpanam. I'm performing this chanting of the holy name. Yeah. So this is the process which helps us to very swiftly, very quickly move ahead on the path towards the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, towards leaving the material realm and entering again our actual field of existence, which is the spiritual world, not the material world. It's like the example is given of a fish. When you take a fish on the land, however much the fish tries in making its surrounding, comfortable, he will not succeed, because it's not his nature. The fish belongs to the water. In the same time, the jiva, the atma, however much the atma tries to make himself comfortable in this material world, he will not be successful, because this is not the atma's natural place to be. Being spirit by nature, the atma belongs to the spiritual world, and only there it can again experience full bliss, what the soul is yearning for. So, for a devotee, death, as we hear here in Dhruva Maharaj's story, death comes to pay his obeisances. Maya Devi stands at the doorstep and asks, Kinkaromi, how can I serve you? Yeah? For the pure devotee. And death is there becoming a stepping stone towards the spiritual world. It's not an obstacle. It's not an anxiety. It's not a fearful event. A devotee at that moment surrenders fully into the loving hands of his Lord. And there is one verse which is actually very hope-giving, which says, if at the moment of death we are not able to remember the Lord, because this is what we are preparing ourselves, not to always think of Krishna and to never forget him. For to be able to also remember the Lord at the moment of passing away. But what happens if we are not able to remember the Lord at that moment? Because we don't know what the body and the mind or the subtle body is creating for disturbances for us. We don't know. But there is this one verse, I believe it's from Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it's of one of the Upanishads, I'm not sure if it's Shvetashvatara. It says, if we are not able to remember the Lord at the moment of death, then Krishna himself comes into our mind and makes us remember him. Yeah. That is very much hope-giving. Again, reducing anxiety for that moment. Yeah. And if we are lucky, we spend that moment in the association of devotees. Therefore, always association is extremely helpful and important. Also, on more advanced levels of practice, we hear the story of Bharat Maharaj, who neglected, he was already practicing on the level of bhava, but he neglected the most important item of association, Vaishnava association. And he associated not with Vaishnavas who could help him to remain on a spiritual platform to maintain his practices. He associated with a deer and so intensely connected with the deer that he was remembering the deer when he left his body. Yeah. So he had to come back in the body of a deer. So it's extremely important for us to always have the association of the devotees, to serve them in a humble way and ask their blessings, that we may remain in the association of devotees. Yesterday in the purport, Prabhupada explained about temples. It's not just Vaikuntha, which is the spiritual place. Also the temples here in this material world are spiritual places. Yeah? Where actually the three gunas have no entrance. This is a good place to be. But of course, it's not just that we can come and sit here. We have to also endeavor to please the Vaishnavas, to serve the Lord. And in this way, we have the opportunity within a temple to come on a spiritual platform. Yeah? The opportunity is there, but always our endeavor is necessary. Huh? We remember from the Damodara Lila, our endeavor is necessary, but then what we need from the Lord's side is the mercy. But the mercy comes when we show our endeavor. Of Of course, we hear also the mercy is causeless. The causeless mercy we received by the fact that we are here. That we are able to hear the holy name, chant the holy name, hear the Bhagavatam, and be in the association of devotees. This is already the causeless mercy. Yeah? And now it's up to us to endeavor to show our gratitude by what opportunities have been given to us, to use them wisely, to move on our path towards that moment where we can also use death as a stepping stone and feel like a kitten in the cat's mouth, feeling blissful, knowing well that the cat is going to carry us and not causing death to us. May we not again have to experience a small death. May we only experience the big death, the dissolving of the ahankar on our path. Hare Krishna. This was what I wanted to share with you. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Hari Venu Prabhu.
Yes, thank you for the wonderful lecture. I was just thinking when you said about at the moment of death, when Krishna, if we are having problems with thinking of Krishna because of bodily and problems, that Krishna comes himself. Were you speaking about everyone who engages in devotional service, or only those who are ready actually to leave, the pure devotees?
Thank you for this question. It depends on the attitude of the devotee. Yeah? If we succeed to work on our anarthas in the heart and manage to walk on the path of Trinada Pisu Nichena, for such a devotee, Krishna is quickly coming into the mind. But for the others, there is the mercy of the spiritual master, who is awaiting, the Guru is praying for us. Therefore, it's so important to have taken shelter at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Adau Guru Pada Ashraya, in the beginning of our spiritual practice, is the taking shelter at the lotus feet of a spiritual master. And he is praying for us. And by his mercy, we will be delivered also. But we should not rely on that fully. We should also do our part. Yes? Brian?
There's a question in the chat. Why is ego necessary for the soul to be able to interact with the material world? And what about Krishna, who came to this material world? Did he also have ahankar or personalities like Srila Prabhupada?
At the moment when the soul is breathed out by the body of Mahavishnu, there is the decision, a fraction of a millisecond, spiritual world or material world. And when we decide for material world, means we want to be God. We want to lord over material nature. We want to be the controllers. And this is only possible with an ahankar. Of course, we have great souls, Nitya Siddhas, we have Mahabhagavatas coming to the material world, like our dear Srila Prabhupada. He was never conditioned at any moment. He never had an ahankar from the first moment on when he was born. He already as a 4-year-old child, he was performing, he was worshipping his Radha Krishna deities, and then later on with 5 years he made his Ratha Yatra. He was never conditioned. But these are messengers from the spiritual world. Most of the souls who are in this material world, they come because they want to be God. They want to enjoy on their own what's in for me, not what's in for Krishna. And this needs a certain suit, like the bathing suit for the one who is going into the ocean. For the soul, that suit is the ahankar. That is there necessary. Krishna, he comes, Swayam Bhagavan, he's completely spirit by nature. He's never at any moment conditioned. He comes to also not interact with this world. He is creating the spiritual world in this world. Also last Saturday we heard that within a corner of Vrindavan Dham is the whole Vaikuntha area. Vrindavan, we hear in Nectar of Instruction, is even higher than the Vaikuntha planets. Even Mathura is already higher than the Vaikuntha planets. It's fully transcendental. Krishna is not getting in contact with material nature. And also, what is material nature, what is spiritual nature? It is only for us having a material body, we make the distinction. For Krishna, there is no material nature. For Krishna, there is everything spirit. Yeah? What means material? It means we disconnect something from Krishna and try to enjoy it separately from Krishna. This makes something material. If we connect everything with Krishna, and nothing is material, and everything is spiritual. Yeah? And for Krishna, he is always acting in the spiritual realm. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Gopi.
What does exactly ahankar mean, like the word?
Ahankara. Ahang is I and mine, and kara means I'm the doer. I'm doing. I am the one who is doing. Means I'm the doer, I'm the controller. This thing belongs to me. I and mine. This is the ahankar.
So at what point do we get it? You said the fact that the jiva chooses the material world is only possible if we have an ahankar. So then you said Shiva is giving that to us.
That
or like
choice is done. It's difficult to trace out the moment, but what is first, the egg or the hen? But fact is that through the vision of Shiva, the ahankar is the jiva is covered by the ahankar and impregnated into the material world. If we have the sequence of creation, we see that the first thing created is the ahankar. And the jiva who desires to be God himself gets that present, to be gifted with the ahankar. Yes? Hendrik.
Is designations, is a translation for designations attachment to thoughts, so that an action and a thought comes the same without knowing each?
Attachment to thoughts. If you have an attachment to thinking of Krishna, then that's desired. And
yes.
If you have attachment to think of material things, then that's not desired. Then that would be a subtle kind of designation, one could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Yes?
Uh, what is about our abilities, which we might have to help other people? Do we need to give them up also, in the end, or in the process? I mean,
There was an incident of Prabhupada walking with some disciples on the beach. I think it was in Bombay. And then a devotee asked Prabhupada, what is if somebody is drowning in the water? Do we have to go and save him? And then Prabhupada said, don't intermingle with others' karma. But at the same time, yes, we need to go. This is a social norm. Yeah, we have to. Because we are a preaching movement. Now we have to also have a good example. But at the same time, of course, we become the servants and we help others also, but not with the understanding of I'm the one who's going to help them. But if Krishna wants me to help, then I'm gladly doing so. Yeah? I'm only the servant of the servant of the servant, and if he wants me to do so, then I'm doing it. If it's pleasing the Lord, I'm doing so. Yeah? Yes, Sanjay?
In that connection, sometimes outside on the road, one will find some snail or worm, and if I see them, I know it's not their natural environment, and then a car may come and go over, or they just dry up and they stay there and die. So I tend to feel that if I can, why not just take them and put them in the grass?
Yeah.
So, but what you said right now, it contradicts that point. I mean, I don't lose any reputation as a preacher if I don't take care of that worm.
No, but it's pleasing to the Lord.
How? How is it?
Because it is said that the devotee is not even harming an ant. There is this story of the Mrigari, the hunter, who in the end did not even wanted to step on ants. He was.
I'm not intending to step on. I'm just considering that.
Yeah.
Okay, let them be.
Yeah.
Let them be in the hands of God, so to say.
It is pleasing to the Lord because you saved a jiva from death.
But he will die, no?
If you leave him on the street, he will die. But if you put him in the grass, he can continue the time which is set for him to be in that body, and then he can continue. And even it's beneficial for him to have been in the hands of a devotee or being touched by a devotee. His next life will be auspicious. Prabhupada was walking once over grass, and the devotees were asking what is becoming of these jivas in the grass in next lives, that they will become humans. They make rapid advancement. So it's not how to say, it's not a mistake or it's not something, okay, it's his karma to be here on the street, let him be rolled over by the cars. No, if we have the ability to help, then we help. Yeah? It's pleasing to the Lord when he sees our concerned nature, our compassionate heart towards other living beings. But always with the understanding, not I am now the one who is saving that creature's life, but the Lord sent me here, he gave me attention on that soul, and I'm now helping, assisting that this soul can continue in the body. Yeah.
But then still, Srila Prabhupada, he said, don't interfere with the karma.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, don't intermingle with the karma.
So I'm doing that, isn't it?
In a way, not, because when the when the snail is rolled over by the car, it gets it loses its body and has to come again into another snail body to continue its, because animals, they don't produce new karma, they are just reducing karma. Yeah? And so you just give him the opportunity to reduce his karma in his snail body on the side of the street peacefully, and then he can move on in another body. And when he's rolled over, he has to come again, and it will probably take more time for him. And the law of karma is very difficult to figure out.
Yes.
Yeah? But I would say compassion is the indication. Yeah? Always act in a compassionate way. A devotee's nature is always such that he doesn't want to harm anyone. But the attitude is important to understand, not that we consider ourselves the big guys, now we help that person over the street, or we rescued that person who was suffocating or drowning in the water. No, it was by the mercy of the Lord I was able to assist, to help. Yeah. And we give the benefit also to Guru and Krishna in this way. It's always the understanding, it's not by our own endeavor, it's by the mercy of Guru and Krishna that we are able to act. Yeah. Otherwise, we are just feeding the ahankar. This is not necessary. We want to reduce the ahankar. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Bhaktarinda ki jai.